What's up, guys? It's Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down a move that I feel every single wide receiver needs to know off the line of scrimmage to help them beat press. So we're going to talk about the mechanics of this movement, and then we're going to talk about when to use this movement. So I hope this video helps you guys out. But also, fellas, if you're a wide receiver and you want to come get some work in with us, we have one more camp opportunity this offseason. We are traveling out to Los Angeles, California for a 2-day long QB and wide receiver training camp. So we're in Salt Lake City right now for our camp, and we have one more left on the schedule. So we're coming out to LA on the 30th and the 31st. So if you guys want some more information on that, want to come out, get some working with myself and my staff of coaches last time until December, check out that very first link in the description below. Let's get started with this video. So this release here, fellas, is going to be called a slide release. So I think this is a great tool for guys to have in their bag because it can set up a lot of other releases and set up a lot of opportunities to create space. So this is Brandon Innes out of Broward County, Florida. He's one of the top recruits this year. Let's play this thing full speed, and then we'll talk about the mechanics of the movement. So this is a perfect example of what you want to do on the slide. This is how you want to have the right tempo. This is the angle that you want to attack, and we're going to talk about why you want to do that. Then a second, we'll explain the situation for it. So obviously a slide release is kind of a slower tempo release. So you would want to use a slide when you got maybe inside shade press and you want to work this guy outside. You want to attack his outside shoulder and you're running a slant. Because when you guys have a slant route and he's inside shade, a good DB is not going to give up the inside. If you try to force the inside release, he's going to get hands on you and squeeze you to the sideline. So you have to attack his outside shoulder. Now, a lot of people do the more like traditional diamond release. They'll take off, they'll go 3 steps on a 45, get that DB to flip his hips, then they'll slip back under, which isn't wrong, and that's completely correct. But sometimes you need another tool in your tool belt. So this slide does that. So when you guys slide, it is super important that you attack on like a 45-degree angle, because that is still a way that you can threaten this DB vertically. So you see guys all the time like Davante Adams, Justin Jefferson, Keenan Allen. They're probably my 3 favorite route runners because they like to use this slide to set up a vertical route. What they will do is they'll come off the line. They'll do that little, Davante Adams is the one everybody sees all the dang time, is that they'll do that little skip release and they'll just take off and go run a fade. They'll hesitate and go and take off. They call that a slide and go. So that slide and go can set up this actual slide crossover release. So now maybe that DB's sitting to the inside, or maybe he's seen that slide and go before. Maybe you've used that a couple times. So you want to threaten him vertically. You want to threaten him vertically with the same tempo and the same timing as you would on that little slide and take off release. So that's why you would attack on a 45-degree angle. Because what a lot of wide receivers will do on this slide is that they go lateral. They will shuffle this way. Now, number one, if you had to run a fade and you shuffle laterally, you wouldn't be getting downfield. Number two, if you guys do that slide and you go lateral, you go 90 degrees, and let's say you get this DB to jump, you still have to ultimately run the slant to here. So if you're wide and you have to get to here and he's wide, he's got the better angle and he can recover on you. So you have to attack him vertically. So when we get him to jump, it's a tighter break underneath him to win on the slant. Now, how you guys can attack at a 45 correctly is by using something we call a kick step or a prep step. So a lot of wide receiver coaches will say that this right here, this kick behind, that's a false step. That is not a false step. That is part of the release. Now, if you guys are running a route and let's say it's zone coverage, like let's say the guy's 15 yards off and you got to go run a comeback and you do that with the back foot, that's when it's a problem because that's wasted motion. But this is a part of the release. This kick step is loading your hips up so you can shoot out with some explosion and gain distance with your slide at that 45. That is what threatens this DB vertically, and that is the only way that we will get a disciplined DB to move off the platform is if we threaten him vertically. So now when I'm in this position, when I slide, when I do the right kick step and I come off, I need to make sure that I'm selling the fade, that I'm selling the slide and go. So when he decides to make this like crossover, you see what he does. He's stepping explosively. His hips and shoulders are selling to the outside. He's fully committed to that break because everything about this movement right here looks like he is running that slide and go fade. You got to make sure with this slide. This is why I feel it's a move that everybody needs to know. You pair it together with that slide and go release. If you can make it look like that slide and go and you do that a couple times, maybe you're backside on a play, maybe you're not even getting the ball, maybe you are getting the ball and you see that inside shade look a lot. Slide and go, because that will set up that slide and crossover for you to be able to win on this slant. Now, one last thing, fellas, because this is a slower tempo release, what guys like to do is they'll kick step, they'll slide to the outside, they'll make this move, and then when they get this DB to jump, they think, oh, I got him. And that's the problem with a lot of young receivers is they think it's just about the move and then that ball should be right there every time. Dude, you still are running a route. And guess what DBs work on all the time? Recovery speed and opening up their hips, driving on the ball. So if you get him to jump, what do you think he's going to do? Whatever possible to try to recover because he knows he got embarrassed. He knows he got beat. So he's going to, you bet your ass he's going to be trying to make a play on that ball. So as a receiver, after I get him to jump, I get him outside, my mindset needs to be there is a race to that football and I'm going to go win the race. I'm pumping my arms and I'm accelerating, and that is a perfect example from Ennis here. You get separation, but we also want to keep that separation by accelerating into that break. Let's play this thing again full speed, and then we will talk about when you want to use this, not just when it's inside shade press. What are the different types of play concepts you'd want to use this on? So let's play at full speed. So he does a great job sliding, hitting the crossover, and then winning on that slant route. Okay, so now we're looking at Hunter Renfrow because that was a practice rep, right? Everybody, when I post anything about that slide release, loves to be like, oh, that takes too long. Oh, the quarterback's sacked. Oh, that'll never work in a real game. Here's a real game, real live scenario from an NFL receiver using this type of release in a game. Now, he's not running a slant. He's running a whip route. So this completely defeats the argument that, oh, it would take too long because a whip route is a longer developing route than a slant is. So why would he use this? And it's because he's using it on the right type of play, not a basic quick game slant or a quick game like whip route, if you will. So let's play this full speed. So he does a great job. It's the same type of thing. He attacks 45. He uses like kind of that kick step as well, works the crossover, breaks to the slant, and then snaps this thing off on the whip. Now I want you to pay attention to Derek Carr right here. What does it look like he's doing in the pocket? It looks like he is throwing on the run. So chances are when a quarterback is throwing on the run, and it was kind of that quicker developing, it wasn't like a scramble situation, he probably did some kind of play action, some kind of sprint out. So those are what? Longer developing plays. That is why that slide release works. So a lot of wide receivers get confused with this slide release. They think that it can be used in every situation. It cannot. And take it from a guy who's got experience with both quarterback and with receiver, especially coaching the receiver position from a high school team. That, I'm not saying that that's like the highest level of football, but it's in a real game scenario that this slide release does not work if you guys are doing, double slants and it's like cover one. Because guess what the quarterback's footwork is there? It's catch throw. So he's not taking a three-step drop. Hell, he's not doing play action. It's not an RPO. He's just catching it and throwing it, and you are the first read. So if you're doing this slide release and you're wasting all this time when you are the first read, that's a problem. That quarterback can't get that ball to you because you're not ready for the ball. That is when you would want to use something like a diamond release, where you take off and you go 3 hard steps, 45, get this DB to flip his hips, and then you slip underneath. Now, another reason guys would do that, or they want to use this slide release, is just because, again, they'll get them separation. But again, it's all about timing, fellas. The main thing is timing. Now, another thing that guys want to use this on is maybe like an RPO. Maybe you have to run this slant route and the quarterback is doing some kind of play action back here and he's reading if a linebacker crashes. And so you got to make sure that you time up with the play. So the only time you'd want to use this slide release, fellas, play action, sprint out, RPO. Those are, and maybe if you're like a later read, maybe this whip route is from like the slot receiver and the quarterback is looking like post to dig, then looking at the whip because you don't want to get out of the break too quick. So maybe you take a little bit more time if you're like the third read on a play or if it's a later developing play. Cannot use the slide release, fellas, when it is quick game. The quarterback will move on and will never give you the ball again if you can't get off the press quickly. That's why you need multiple tools in your bag. That's why you need to have other releases other than just the slower, more complicated type releases. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Perfect example of the technique of the slide and knowing the correct reason or the correct situation to use that specific release. All right, fellas, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave those in the comments section below. We always appreciate the feedback. Always great hearing from you guys. And again, fellas, we have one more QB and wide receiver training camp this offseason in Los Angeles, California on July 30th and 31st. So if you guys want some more information on that, check out that very first link in the description below. I'll see you guys next time.